Hi, everybody. I'm Tracy Swedlow, and this is the Swedlow Show on Televisionation. And I'm really thrilled to welcome someone who has started this interesting new company called Vibe.co. And his name is Arthur Querou. I'm hoping I pronounced that correctly. And he is an ad tech a serial entrepreneur. He's about to introduce himself, but it's interesting because I have seen his ads. They've been very effective online, and we're interested in what Vibe.co is doing. So welcome to the show, Arthur.
Thank you for having me. So I'm Arthur. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Vibe.go. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I started as a mobile app developer, then moved on to advertising. It was the first company that basically created playable ad units. So mini games inside ads. Was in fact actually mentored by Sam Altman for that company during the Y Combinator. That company got acquired, and then like we created keyword targeting solution for programmatic, which had like a similar thesis for Vibe, which was like to democratize performance advertising on programmatic. But that never really happened because of COVID. So it kind of became like a managed service solution, and never really like a self-serve platform for like performance marketers and SMBs. But that's what we did with Vibe. So Vibe.go, we have created the meta ads of streaming TV specifically. So we help performance marketers advertise on streaming TV and generate ROI. And it's going to be interesting to discuss that and define like what's ROI on streaming TV. But our thesis is that to transform television into and make it sustainable in the streaming TV era, and it's going to have to demonstrate results for performance marketers. 70% of the revenue from Meta comes from performance marketers. When you open up Instagram, you don't see ads for Pepsi, you don't see ads for P&G, you don't see ads for Ford. You see ads for DTC brands, for apps, games, and that's 70% of the revenue of Meta. So we're attracting that whole market to streaming TV.
I would say that, attracting small businesses or people who don't use connected TV or regular or traditional television has been, like the holy grail. It's been very difficult not to crack. I know many years ago, YouTube offered all kinds of ways to, or other third-party services offered people clever ways to generate ads on YouTube, but I don't really think that happened. I think something fell apart. So I'm really curious, obviously, how you are absolutely able to make this happen. Uh, by the way, uh, OpenAI just announced Atlas, the new agentic browser, I think this morning. So that's going to be interesting to see whether or not you play in that, because as you say, you are going to be challenging, or you're going to be the Google ads of TV. So everybody out there in the TV industry, of course, is they're sometimes they feel very challenged about working with Google. Sometimes they're excited to, but it's definitely a challenge because they feel that they might be losing their autonomy, their data, whatever it is. So I'm definitely curious how you're going to become or be a part of the beast that is
Yeah.
known as streaming TV, connected TV, and that community, which is very, very, organized and tight and protective, and how you are going to break in and deliver a service that they can't say no to. So
Yeah.
can you tell me a little bit about what is the model exactly? I know you sort of talked about it just momentarily, but reiterate it carefully about what you're going to do that is going to make it easier for small businesses to play a part in connected TV when I believe these ads are being generated by Gen AI, right? So what's the whole process from start to finish? Can you articulate that,
Yeah,
please?
absolutely. So Vibe.co is a fully self-serve platform. So that's one thing when you want to go after that longer tail. And it's important to define SMBs. SMBs are not just HVAC companies or like lawyers or this kind of thing. There are also like very large TTC brands, e-commerce brands. There are very large apps like games on mobile and this kind of thing, like B2B companies, sometimes spending like hundreds of millions on marketing per year. So definitely there's a lot of budget, but 100% of those people want to use a self-serve platform. So that's one thing. They do not know and do not want to know anything about programmatic. Those people don't want to deal with the mess of SSPs and deal IDs and all the complexity of advertising. And I think they're right when it comes to that. They're used to using Google Ads. They're used to using Meta Ads or TikTok Ads or whatever. And so they want to be able to set up campaigns quickly, iterate on them based on the performance that they are getting, and really experiment. And that's exactly what we provide them. So we provide them, everything is prepackaged. There is like our own data. So all of our data is transactional data that comes from our network of advertisers. So think of it as like the Facebook pixel of streaming TV. So we have the largest transactional data set that allows us to make TV hyper targeted by recommending the right product, which basically comes from our campaigns. We have thousands of live campaigns running in parallel, and making sure that people will see the right product for them, and that the recommendation that we're doing is the right one. And that's how we do the whole buying process, and that's how we generate performance. And so then people will look at performance in different ways. For the smaller clients, their measurement tech is basically people telling them, I saw you on TV. For the like more mature advertisers, they'll start looking at metrics in platform, which I don't think is the best way of doing it, but a lot of people still look at metas in platform metrics and those kind of things. But it's good to look at directionally and to know whether or not it's having an impact on your business. And the more mature clients, like very large spenders, will look usually at incrementality with dedicated solutions. So thinking about like the Triple Well, North Beam, Work Magic, Prescient AI. There are like many companies now measuring incrementality, not just for TV, but for the whole marketing mix, and doing like MMM, MTA, GeoLift, all kinds of different approaches to that. But yeah, basically our clients can do all that in platform without.
You're saying that you're saying they can bring in their own third-party data, their own
Yes.
zero-party data, or whatever they have,
Yeah, so
first-party
third
data.
party
That's
third
fine.
party data,
Mhm.
no. But yeah, we also have connections, like direct connections to CDPs and CRMs. So basically data management platforms, so they can import lists of emails of past clients to do some re-engagement and this kind of thing. We're really positioning Vibe as not an ad tech solution, but more as a tool in the marketing stacks of those marketers, of those modern marketers.
So does that mean that you will work with a company that needs to have a clean room, for example, in the whole process, or do you provide
No,
a clean room? No?
no, those clients don't like have clean room or this kind of thing. They have like their CRM. They just want to connect it and like get going,
Okay,
basically.
but so
So
that means you're definitely not. I mean, you're not in any way, unless I misunderstood, positioning yourself as potentially a tool down the road for like a huge company that has
no,
a clean room, let's say a Disney or
no,
something that might want to experiment with local advertising and I mean maybe Disney's way beyond your capacity, but we're going to stay with
Absolutely. So we work with Disney because
oh,
they're a supply source for us, and so we work conjointly with them to bring them that demand from the longer tail, which is very tragic for them because it's pure incremental revenue. Like it's demand that they're not getting anyway. So we bring them that demand. But I was actually asked this morning. Someone asked me like, what if Nike comes to you and say, I want to spend 20 million on Paramount. Like, why should they use Vibe? And my answer is they should not. They should absolutely not. They should call Paramount and like spend it with them. Like that's an awareness campaign. That's a more traditional way of buying TV advertising, we're not bringing anything on the table here. The reason why Nike or any like e-com company would want to work with us is because they just want to drive performance, they want to drive sales with TV. Nobody cares if it's just per amount. Like, I mean, like you should not care if it's per amount. Like you want to target the whole streaming TV landscape. So it can be like per amount, it can be Disney, it can be Roku, it can be Fubo, it can be like any streaming platform that you want, but you want to be targeting people. You want to be targeting people who are interested in fitness, who have a buying history of like fitness equipment to sell them like fitness shoes. That's what you want to target, and you want to do that at the best ROI. And the best ROI is not always the best price, because you're not always targeting like lower CPMs when you do that. What we've seen, for example, is that live sports drives by far the best performance. And that is much more expensive, but it gets you a better ROI. So you need to have, not every inventory is equal. And we do that. We basically automate the fact that brands are getting the best ROI from whatever content that suits them best and from whatever audience that suits them best.
I mean, I wanted to find out more about the Gen AI process, right? But I want to ask a question related to the audiences for a second, and then let's go back to the Gen AI situation. I'm definitely curious about how you, with your transactional data that you've got, how are you better at finding the right viewers for your advertisers than say somebody else? Like, what's your secret sauce here? Why are you better at doing that?
Yeah, it's a different buying paradigm. So the standard paradigm in programmatic advertising is you have your DSP, so you have your demand platform, and you receive like lots and lots of big requests for impressions. And all of the solutions on the market right now buy impressions, and then they have some data or not, like on the people watching those impressions. I mean, behind those impressions. And they make some bidding decision based on that. It's a very, very bad way to do performance, because that usually you end up like buying cheap inventory, which is bad for performance, by the way. And the data that you use comes from data providers. I won't name them, but all of the data that comes from data providers is slop. It is non-granular. It's just it's slop, like AI
Oh,
slop. It's data.
like AI slop. Okay, I wasn't sure
Yeah,
that's what you were
exactly.
saying.
It's
Okay.
data slop,
Yeah.
basically. It
Yes.
is just a big box of intent that you have no idea how it was qualified, that is not correlated to the user. It's just like an audience, not at the user level, and doesn't come with the granularity of exactly what people have bought, what they are looking at right now, where are they in their like buying journey, and this kind of thing. The difference with Vibe is that all the data that we use comes from either data partnerships, that is raw transactional data, so we know exactly what people have bought, when they bought it, for how much, etc. And from the data of all of our network of advertisers. And that allows us to exactly know what those people have bought and actually run a recommendation engine with all the campaigns that we have, so that if someone has bought X, Y, and Z product in the past 7 days, we know which exact product we should show to them. So the whole paradigm shift is that we're not buying impressions, we're buying viewers, verified viewers, and we're showing them a product that we think they'll buy. But it's a big difference from, I just buy impression and just serve my budget in whatever whatever possible way. We are viewer first and performance first, and that's what drives the performance, and that's what has made us grow like that fast.
You are delivering this into the connected TV marketplace, correct?
Correct.
But what are you doing about walled gardens? Are you, I mean, they don't want to let you in. I'm assuming you're not working on Netflix, you're not working on these other services, or are you? How are you able to do
No,
that?
we do.
Or not?
The only ones, Netflix not yet, but it's it's not so much about like a walled garden or not a walled garden. It's more like they're opening up their supply progressively, and like I mean, we'll get access to Netflix eventually. I think within the beginning of next year. The only inventory that we don't work with is YouTube. That's a real walled garden, and like
Yeah.
of course we don't touch that. But all the rest we have access to, and we have solely direct relationship with publishers. We do not work with resellers. We do not work with some like weird PMPs or this kind of thing. Solely direct with the publishers.
So how are these ads? I want to ask about the Gen AI thing, but one more question was how are these ads performing? And maybe you should explain the fact that these things are they generated all by AI? You mentioned in your materials that you can do this with a URL. Are these generated by AI or are these more human created? I'm assuming you do both, but can you talk about performance, please?
Yeah, performance. So it really varies on like the advertisers, of course. But what we are seeing like pretty consistently is like a 250% incremental ROAS. I insist on the incremental ROAS because I think the real value of TV is not just on direct response. It's also the impact that it's having on like your like social campaign, search campaign, etc. And to actually measure that, you run like incrementally measurement. And so that's what we do. We solely optimize on incremental performance, and that's what we look at. And 250% for an e-com brand is exactly in the range of like what they're looking for to scale their budget and be on par with Meta and with Google of the world. But there is a big challenge for television in general, not just for Vibe, to actually work on demonstrating the value. Because especially when you talk to performance advertisers, they all come from a click-based attribution world that has been, of course, defended by Meta and Google because it makes their job much easier, and it was a way of like creating a bias toward like their performance rather than like other channels. But now, as marketers are more and more diversifying their marketing mix, they understand that looking at clicks isn't working at all. And especially when you start doing influencer marketing, especially when you start doing out of home, when you do TV, etc. And so it's very important that streaming TV players, and especially on the demand side, but also on the supply side, work conjointly together to work with those like incremental measurement partners to make sure that the impact of television is well presented to the performance marketers and to their CFOs, because performance marketers' budgets are decided by their CFOs, and their CFOs look at the actual performance and the actual revenue that is generated. But that also compresses the funnel, so which is great because TV will more and more become like a performance platform and not just some kind of a branding awareness platform for brands.
Well, how is the performance doing in these on the connected TV platforms in partnership with the publishers versus things that are on YouTube? Can you talk about the percentage of the types of publishers who are taking this up, like small, medium, large? How are they performing? How are they performing on YouTube? Where are you seeing your greatest success?
Yeah. So again, not all inventory is equal. So there's a big differences between inventories and content in general. What we've seen is that fast channels, despite having a lot of volume, drive very low engagement from viewers because I mean
Well, we're getting
when you
annoyed. We're getting annoyed at seeing the same ad 3 times in a row.
yeah
It's very
that
annoying. And then you turn it off. You turn off the volume. You go somewhere else.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
that's just one problem.
you put the finger on it. Like the fast channels, especially, like tend to be a very 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 passive experience. And in terms of like viewership, you turn it on and like you leave it running. Whereas like more premium content, like premium shows, like live sports, again, is very good. That's where we see the strongest performance by far, and like very often actually getting better results than YouTube. Um,
Is that YouTube? Is it better on YouTube or on in the connected TV marketplace?
on YouTube, we don't run ads on YouTube, so like I couldn't say. But
Hmm.
when it comes to like live sports dedicated campaigns compared to like some traditional YouTube campaigns, live sports campaigns tend to work much better, basically.
So, with also, how are you doing with co-viewing? Is that a concern right now or not? Where you have other people in the room, are you trying to track them? Maybe that's too advanced right now. Is that the case, or is
No,
that
no, no.
on your
That's
radar?
it. That's exactly what we do. So basically, our data platform and our data set is we have households, which are basically the TVs, and then we map other devices that are in the household. So to be able to track conversions, basically when those people go to like a website and make a conversion from their phone or their like laptop, we have that information. And so co-viewing is a big part of it. Basically, making sure that we can map like all the devices in the household and then measuring the performance. But yes, it is.
Since you're, I mean, how actually I didn't ask you this before, but how when did you enter the market with this platform?
Yeah, we started in 2020, so early 2023. So January of
So
2023.
relatively new. I'm curious if you are being asked to, or you have reached out to the various organizations that are trying to solve measurement problems in connected TV marketplace, like Aquila, or the 4As or any of these other groups. Are you part of the industry conversations yet, or not so much?
No, no,
No.
because they're not. They are solely used by those like very large brands, and we don't work at all with old ghosts. Like we work with, again, like the big e-com brands and this kind of thing, and so we work with their solutions. So that's why I was mentioning the North Beam, Triple Whale, Work Magic, etc. Those are the people that like are actually used by those like performance marketers, and so we work on like measurement with these people and not with like the industry think tanks. Like, I mean, that's not what our clients care about.
Okay. Well, and they're probably all watching what you're doing, and we want to make sure that you're visible to them too, just in case. So I'm also curious about the behind the scenes platform itself. Like, how do you ensure your advertisers that their ads are going to be, not relegated to like 3 in the morning, and that they're on good quality platforms? How much control do you give? How much assurance do you give them that their ads are going to be with the premium content that they probably want to be, associated with?
Yeah. So the first thing is no reseller policy. I really insist on that because there is a ton of fraud right now in the market. Like not a lot of people talk about it, but sometimes like we have prospects telling us like, oh, but I talked to those people and they told me we could buy ESPN for $3 CPM. ESPN $3 CPM does not exist. Like in no in no world does it exist. So it's resellers. I don't even know what they sell. They probably sell some kind of repackaged online video and like package it as some kind of CTV thing. So one thing for sure, making to be 100% sure that we're not running there. We solely work direct with publishers. So either with direct integrations or direct deal IDs with them. Like we had like recently a very weird experience, for example, where we were talking with one of our big partner, big streaming platform, and we're telling them, well, look, last month we sent you almost $1 million in spend, and they were like, no, and we're like, yes, and they were like, no, you sent like 500. And we're like, so there is like 400 grand that's missing, and we eventually been able to recoup it, but it was going through some kind of a shady reseller that was taking a major take rate from like our spend, which is not okay. It's not okay for the publishers. The publishers are the most important piece of like that whole ecosystem, and then getting screwed over by those shady resellers is not great for them. It's not great for the advertisers. So we basically cut off any relationship and any connection to any reseller, and now we solely work direct with publishers. So that's one thing. And the other thing is in the platform. So we have, of course, like our own DSP like ad platform, and we build everything is proprietary. And of course, like we have lots of controls, so people can select which channel they want to target, which streaming app they want to target, what time of the day, what geo. They can like be as large as like statewide, nationwide, and as precise as zip code or metro zone. For example, like very important like political advertising. So yeah, they have like full control over that, but controls that matter, basically.
So what if you have all of this available and you've worked so hard to make this possible, why wouldn't big players like Roku, Disney, or Google build their own competitive tools? Or do you want to, is that your exit strategy? You want to be bought out? I mean, you have all this investment. So I'm kind of curious. You have like a $50 million investment, right? And a really big valuation. So is that your plan? Do you want them to buy you out? Do you want to be competitive? What's the exit strategy here?
There's no exit. we we've been entrepreneur for a while. We've made very good money on there. No need to for us to worry about it. Our vision is that Vibe will create value over the next 20 years. It's for sure that there will be one major platform that consolidates the demand of performance marketers, and we're the most suited to be able to do that. The Disney, the Netflix of the world, the Roku of the world, by definition, they don't have 100% coverage of the whole market. And if you want to be relevant to those marketers, you want to have 100% like coverage of them, of the market. One thing as well is like going to market to those people is very, very different. It's not because just you build a platform, and even if like you're Disney, that you're gonna be like getting like all the demand from those marketers. There's a lot of growth marketing that you need to be doing, and knowing, building the muscle of going to market to those people. And this is something that we're exceptionally good at because we're performance marketers. We have the empathy for our clients. We know how they work. We know how they function. We know what they look at. We know how to communicate with them. So we know exactly how to go to market with it, to them. And we've really engineered that the same way Monday.com has done it, the same way Revolut has done it, to be able to attract that demand. And lastly, there's the data asset. Like Roku will not have the data asset, Disney will not have the data asset, Netflix will not have the data asset. What they have is demographic data. Who cares? That doesn't help like to generate performance marketing. Like what you want to have is transactional data. And if you can't have like the go-to-market that gets you to the kind of scale that we get, you won't have the data anyway. So it's a locked situation for them, and we're glad like to. I mean, we don't want to be competitors of them. We're partners and bringing them that incremental demand directly to them. So we work with all of those people that you've mentioned, and yeah, it's not an issue, and it's not actually the same user base that use Vibe and like the Disney like Hulu Ads Manager or Roku Ads Manager.
And I want to actually now go back to the Gen AI topic.
Yeah.
After all of that, again, you've said in your materials, I haven't seen it, but you can generate an ad using a URL. I mean, how carefully do you think this? Do you think this has been a successful way to generate ads for people? Are they using it? Are people not using it so much? Where are you on that scale? And also, I have a follow-up question on that, but go ahead.
Yeah. So that has been very successful for us. We released the Gen AI tool at the end of last year, and now 12% of all the creatives that run on Vibe are AI generated by our tool. You can add a good 12% to that as well. You can basically double it with AI ads that are not generated by our tool as well.
Are you using a particular platform like Runway or
we're very agile. We're very agile on that because it's like progressing like so fast, and like one day the best model is from like Xfield, and the next day it's from Cdream, and the next day it's from Google, and so you have to be very flexible on that. And actually, some models work much better for, I don't know, storytelling, like ads, and some models work much better for testimonials, and some models will work more for product showcase. So you have to be very adaptive. At the end of the day, my conviction is more and more around the fact that producing ads with Gen AI will become a commodity. Like
Become a what?
anyone,
Become a
a
what?
commodity.
Common? A
Yeah, it's going to
commodity.
be a commodity. It's not going to be a. It's not going to be a differentiator by any means. It's progressing very fast, and it's just the future itself of video production is Gen AI. Like that's 100% for sure. But there's going to be so many great products that are going to be built around that. That I mean, we'll just like create compatibility with those tools to reduce friction to like basically deploying and distributing the content that is created with these tools. But we're not thinking that we'll build at the end of the day the tool itself. It's more about like, yeah.
I think if you do have a fantastic tool that you have created and you own, I would say that's licensable. That's something that is going to be really in
It's a
demand in the
different.
market,
It's
separate from
it's
your
a
no.
it's a very different. It's a very different business. When you want to execute a company that goes as fast as Vibe, you need to have a lot of focus, and you need to know what you should build and what you should buy or integrate with. Um, we do a great job at connecting to the supply, making it available to the SMBs, and generating performance for them. The creative component itself is very, very different. And again, it's going to be a commodity. Like there's going to be absolutely no moat into having your own product. And so our what's going to be, for example, important is making sure that if a client, if an e-com brand connects their catalog into Vibe, they can generate on the fly creatives with whatever model and whatever platform for each and every single product. That's interesting. That drives performance, and that's a great use case for us. Creating a tool ourselves is just going to be a lot of defocus, and whereas like some companies are doing such a great job, like Xfield, Runway, like we're discussing with all these companies and working with them to basically help them distribute those ads that are created with their tools. But are we going to try and compete with Runway? Are we going to try and compete with Xfield? No.
I could see that they would offer you as a partnership to people and to be able to use whatever extra tools you
Yep.
give them. But if you're so friendly with Sam Altman from Y Combinator, maybe OpenAI will uh, uh, incorporate you at some point or buy you. But that's another discussion. Okay, another question. I think we're potentially even way beyond the initial 30 minutes that I thought. But one thing that's going to be opening up even more so is local television advertising on connected TV because of the rise or the use now of ATSC 3.0 next gen TV. And for example, it was just announced that NBC Universal has invested in Run 3 TV, which runs Run 3C TV. So developing ads for the local television market is absolutely that are even interactive. Is going to be a thing. I don't know if you're aware of all of this. Is that because I think that's perfect for your
Yeah,
for
yeah,
your
yeah. Local advertisers represent 30% of our revenue. So I don't think we mentioned that, but now we're used by over 10,000 brands in the US. So that's quite a footprint. But yeah, it's a big one for us. Definitely for them, like being able to like help them generate a creative very easily, and that's what our tool like currently does. Is detrimental to their activation and for them to advertise on TV. The interactive piece and component of television is something I'm very against, and it
really
can seem like quite
why
counterintuitive. Yeah,
why
I think it's a, I think it's everything what's wrong with ad tech. Ad tech has absolutely no empathy for the viewers and the end users, basically the people on their couches, the people on their computer, like who see an ad, and they ruin the experience every single time. Every single like on the open web is horrible to browse now because of ad tech and all their stupid like ads, ad formats and popovers and whatever. And I think trying to make TV interactive is a massive misunderstanding of the viewer experience, because TV is a passive device. The phone is an active device. A computer is an active device where people can click. People, when they're on their TV, they're not they're not interacting with it. They're watching the show, but they're not with their like remote in their hands trying to do like stuff on their TV. And that will never happen. Or the only thing that you will create is just a worst experience for viewers, and ultimately the death of TV. So that's my big warning to the market. If you make the experience terrible to the viewers, the big rectangle, the black rectangle that's behind me, will die. And if you try to cram in like more ads and more interactivity, and it's all for the worst reasons. It's because, as we talked about that, one of the big challenge of TV, of the whole TV ecosystem, is to demonstrate the value and the impact of TV advertising to brands. That's for sure. It's not by trying to make it fit into some kind of a click-based attribution system. That's not how it's going to work. It's because you'll be able to demonstrate that value on the long-term basis, because you're demonstrating incrementality, and the market is moving towards that. So there's no need to make it interactive. That's not going to happen. Viewers do not want to like that to happen anyway. So let's just like stay true to like what TV is. It's a passive device, and let's just focus on the quality of content, and let's just focus on making sure that there are not too many ads, so that the currency of TV advertising is not just the CPM and low CPMs anymore, and transitions toward actual performance. That TV will succeed and will thrive if the currency of TV becomes performance.
Well, that's a big statement. I would say, what about when voice control becomes more flexible? When you can pause your programming, you can interact with the second screen on the very bottom, kind of like Telly. I don't know if you've
Yep.
seen Telly with their,
Yeah.
okay.
Good friends with
Or
them.
in general, you have other changes to the tvOS that LG might introduce, like having bookmarking or ad coupon, bookmarks, or something where you have more control over what you
Yeah,
see.
that's
And of course, all of those QR codes, whatever, I don't know. But I mean, I have been talking about interactivity for a long time, so I love the fact that you are so adamantly against it. But I've been always curious whether or not these kinds of things, like if television were more voice controlled, and it was more fun to do interactivity with ads, I think I would do it. But pulling out your phone and dealing with the QR code, not so much.
it's these are gimmicks. This is not the foundation of TV. Yeah, sure. There's going to be like some clicks on like the ads on the home screen, or like on the bottom screen and those kind of things. But those are gimmicks. You don't build a standard, and you don't build scale with that as well. So the real value of TV, and I mean, when we talk to our clients, the only exception I have is pose ads. I think pose ads are the exception to it.
What kind of
Like pose
ads?
ads are
What
pose ads. So basically, ads when you post your content. That I can happily debate about that, and I think it's an interesting format. But all the rest, I mean, it's a gimmick. It's not the real value of TV. And when you talk to actual like performance marketers, when they tell you like I want to advertise on TV, they want to advertise like they want to run a pre-roll or mid-roll. Like they would never buy like those like home screen ads, because it doesn't have the scale. And yeah, that's not what they want to do. They want to advertise on TV, and advertising on TV means pre-roll, mid-roll.
Okay, well, one last question, which is I'm assuming you are white label, that I'm not going to see Vibe.co somewhere on the screen. Is that correct? You're all white label?
Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't call it white label, but yeah, you don't see Vibe.co on the TV screen. But we don't. Vibe.co is not white label to any other buying solution or anything like that, nor is it built on top of a white label solution. It's fully proprietary.
I love the fact that the Nextdoor CEO, I believe,
Yeah.
is on your board. So that's really exciting. They need some help to make them more visible. It would be really interesting to see Nextdoor much more vibrant community on connected TV and elsewhere. So I'm excited to hear more about that partnership going forward. So I think that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Arthur. I really appreciate it. I'm sure I could ask you questions for another half an hour, but we're going to close. So I appreciate your time. And hopefully I know you live in New York now. I think you're from Paris originally, but you're now in New York. Maybe we will see you at TVOT NYC December 3rd. So thank you very much for your time.
Definitely, I'll be there, and thank you, Tracy, for having me. Have a good day.
Merci beaucoup.
De rien.